Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, covering Ipswich Town since 2015. My name is Richard Woodward and you are tuned into the Prematch show, Shrewsbury home edition, available each week on podcast, audio and video. And joining me this week, words, Mikey, words. We've had all kinds of fun before we've even pressed record. This is going to be fun today. Mikey's back. Welcome back, Mikey. How are you doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I'm playing the role of Miles Kenlock this week because the first two choices weren't available. So I'm popping in. I'm going to put
Nothing
in a 6
like
out of 10.
Nothing like that. You're not our third choice left back.
But yeah, great to be on.
Doing all right, yeah. And I mean, it's not a kind of bumper week in terms of news. And we obviously did the live show on Wednesday night. We usually have a bit more gap. And maybe news happens on Friday. We are recording this Thursday night. It goes out Friday morning. So I'm hoping there's no major news in the world of Ipswich Town, like a postponement or something like that before this goes out. So happy Friday if you're listening to us as this gets released. Let's deal with what minimal news we've got, shall we, Mikey? Let's start with that. Yeah. And I guess worth just picking up on the aftermath of the Gillingham game in the Pizza Cup. Obviously a positive outcome. And your thoughts, I guess, on, we were debating this and it'd be interesting to get your views. The Blue Monday WhatsApp group, the fabled Blue Monday WhatsApp group has been debating this and we'll deal with this with Shrewsbury, obviously, but interesting to get your thoughts on whether anyone stuck out as a replacement for Selena, either Jackson, Chaplin, Edwards, Piggott, maybe. I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Mikey? And any thoughts on the EFL Trophy and its significance or otherwise for our season?
Yeah, well, it's a competition that we don't want to be in, isn't it? Let's face it. But what it does do, when you've been knocked out of the League Cup early on, as we have, it does give us an opportunity to see some of these fringe players who haven't been getting many starts. And actually, I feel like a couple of them have given Paul Cook a real headache going into Saturday's game because Piggott scored, led the line and played well. He's not going to get that centre forward role, but we have seen him play in the 10 earlier on this season, haven't we, when he has played. Edwards is back, and yeah, he was our most exciting player early on in the season. So he's possibly the favourite to come in for Selena. Jackson, probably less likely, isn't it? But then, yeah, Chaplin. I know Benjamin Bloom is a massive fan, and he was saying the other day that if he was the manager, he would be playing him every minute of every game. And yeah, he scored as well, didn't he? And potentially would suit playing in that number 10 position.
Yeah, so good headaches.
Good headache to have, this one. If you cast your mind back to the end of last season and the choices that were there to be made. I mean, not that we're in a great position if we're looking at the league table, but in terms of squad and player availability, we're in a fantastic position at the moment.
Yeah, and an opportunity to get to Wembley, one of the few remaining clubs to make a competitive appearance at Wembley. So the new Wembley,
is it just us and Port Vale and
I think
is it Colchester as well?
I think there's about 8 or 7 of them, isn't it? It's a pretty embarrassing.
I think it's less than that now, Rich.
Is it now less?
Yeah, I think it is.
Because Harrogate probably have been there, haven't they? And
because you think, the teams that have come up from non-league, they won't have played there, but then they'd have had the opportunity to play there in the FA Trophy or various other competitions.
I was trying to lift the mood and I've just depressed us, haven't I? Let's move on. This is a strange story and kind of one of those ones like you're scratching your head. Accrington, and again, it was a live show discussion, as was the Gillingham game, about when and if you hear from owners. And Andy Holt, we know, is someone who's not backwards in coming forwards and giving his views on social media. And he's been tweeting about how agents and players approach doing transfer deals and has shared a DM chat with Cameron Burgess, Ipswich Town's now Cameron Burgess, as presumably an example. He says, "I hope Cam Burgess 95 doesn't mind this." I mean, bloody hell.
So first of all, Rich, sorry if I'm interrupting here,
No.
but first of all, he has Cameron Burgess's number. As he literally shows, he's on WhatsApp or SMS with Cameron Burgess. He could have just messaged him and said, "Oh, just about to send this tweet out," and maybe explained, given him a bit of context as to why. We didn't get any context, and got permission from him that way, rather than saying, "I hope this is okay," because even though the nature of it doesn't look bad on Cameron Burgess, I'm not sure how comfortable I feel about people sharing messages that I've sent. I'm not particularly saying that I've sent any bad ones, honest, but I'm not sure I'd want them being shared without my permission on social media for the whole world to know anyway. Not necessarily because of what's in it, but because it's drawing attention to you, and you don't necessarily want that attention from outside. I think there is a suggestion that it's a thinly veiled dig at another Accrington player that you can possibly smarten me up on.
Dion Charles is the suspicion that, and you wouldn't post that without a reason. And it's not just, I've woken up today and I think I'll talk about what a great bit of transfer business it was.
Yeah, I first read it as, is he just being one of those people that's just telling a story about that time that they did something really nice? Like, people that can't help an elderly lady across the road without posting it on social media, or people that film themselves giving a meal to the homeless. But then, it seems like there's a little bit more to it than just complete narcissism.
Yeah, it's kind of very, David, if opportunities reward trust, it's kind of almost kind of PR for Accrington, and
you'll never work for an owner like me again.
Better, fact. Maybe that's what's going on here. We can only speculate. Interesting that Harvey Davies, who's known to a lot of us on social media and is on the Kings of Anglia fans panel shows, asked what Mark Ashton was like to deal with as well, and his and Andy Holt continues his line of Brent quotes or Brent isms with he is great to deal with, and his last words on the subject to me were, "There goes Andy Holt. I must remember to thank him." No, they weren't. It's great to work with you and do business in the right way, Andy. There you go.
Thanks for being a great guy, Andy.
Thanks for being the best owner.
You know what, Andy? I've got a message to you. Well done. Well done for doing your job.
I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd have to get the beep button out early because we're early in the YouTube video. Yeah, interesting one. So, well, we'll be interested to see if Cameron Burgess gets asked about this. As you say, he comes out quite well, doesn't he? Very professional. Is very much focused on the game, and then is told, "Don't worry about that, and get yourself for the best deal you can." So, interesting. The world of football ownership and social media, always brings out the best. And finally, continuing the kind of pre-match vibe to the show, another advert for attending ITFC women's fixtures. They are back at home on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Gold Star Ground in Felixstowe, facing off to MK Dons. Yet to win a game, 2 draws, 4 defeats, only 5 goals for 16 conceded. So I'm cursing someone here, surely, but I thought I'd be the curse, and then I went to Keynsham and they won 11-2. So I will be chancing my hand again on Sunday. 2 injury doubts: Bonnie Horwood in central mid, and Sophie Peskett, friend of the pod, out wide right. Both missed the game against London Bees, the win against London Bees, but we'll be hoping to be available for selection. So do get down there. £5 for adults, free for kids coming under 16s that take with you. View of the pitch, you can walk around all over the place.
You get great value for money there, don't you? It's £5, and you're probably going to see. Well, you're probably maybe double better value than £1 a goal.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
and you can have a beer and view of the pitch as well. So yeah, do go down and support the women's team doing fantastic things. A league above and hunting down a second promotion in 2 seasons. So all the best to them. And we will, I think, probably miss out on talking about that on the flagship. but we will certainly mention it next week on the live show or the pre-match show. That is your lot for news. Let's get into Shrewsbury. And we've got plenty to talk about, Mikey, haven't we? Let's start with the basics, shall we? At the moment, 23rd in League One.
Yeah.
Seb's kindly done some notes for us. Seb
has essentially produced this show for us, hasn't he? This feels like a real slick podcast operation here, apart from maybe the technical
bit that we've done
at the start. But yeah, we've got our own producer. Producer Seb has really given us something to work with, hasn't he?
Yeah, and his words, not ours, is this is a relegation 6-pointer. So
yeah.
Direct your comments at Brown S08, I think, is off the top of my head is his Twitter. But yeah, 11 played, 2 wins, 2 draws, 7 defeats, only 8 goals scored, 16 against, sounds similar to MK Dons in the ITFC Women's League. No wins on their travels yet. An impressive 1-1 draw, though, a few weeks back, which we talked about on the Sheffield Wednesday pre-match, a 1-1 draw there. Sheffield Wednesday, obviously, we know are a little bit flaky, but still some resilience there. Last time out, defeat to Bolton, 2-1 in the league, but a morale-boosting 3-1 win, Mikey, in your favourite tournament, the Pizza Cup.
Yeah, that was against Wolves under 21s and a couple of their attacking players that came in. Like us, actually. A couple of their goal scorers didn't start in the last game, but there was a bit of a mixture of players that have been playing in the league and a few fringe players as well. Yeah.
Worth drawing attention to their situation last season, 17th place finish in the 2021 campaign. Sam Ricketts was in charge for a good chunk of the season, but defeat to Ipswich and a draw with MK was enough for the Shrewsbury board, and he was sacked. Steve Cottrell came in, but missed big chunks of the season through COVID and recovering from the after effects of COVID, which I think also spanned into the summer. So I think he's doing much better now, but was quite seriously ill for a while, and that must have affected them. Really experienced manager Mikey. We know all about Steve Cottrell, don't we?
Yes, Steve Cottrell. His daughter was in my year at university.
Wow, there you go.
She was in the year above, and
that's in Seb's script as well. How does he know that?
And people knew that she was Steve Cottrell's daughter because she brought it up at every opportunity. But anyway, he was manager of Portsmouth back then, and at the time he was considered an experienced Football League manager, and here we are. Is it over 10 years later, and he's still kicking about? And he's had some success at some places and some others, but he's a manager that regularly gets jobs. So he's obviously doing something right. I think he plays quite a. He's quite a simple, straightforward style of management, which is probably what attracted Shrewsbury to him last season, because they were struggling, and he was an old steady hand to come in and work a little bit of magic. But he's probably not. His style probably isn't overly popular with Shrewsbury fans. But I don't know how. I don't know any Shrewsbury fans to ask them what their opinion of Steve Cottrell is.
No, they're not. You don't kind of bump into Shrewsbury fans, do you? No. I find. I mean, he came in and made a big difference in terms of the form. I think they're on a good winning run. I'm just trying to find their run of games. There was December. The defeats turned into draws, certainly after he was appointed. Then there was wins against Hull, wins against Lincoln.
Wins against so I can talk Blackpool. You through his record since taking over. So he took over in November 2020, which I'm guessing was a few weeks after Paul Cook took over at Ipswich.
No, Cook was February, wasn't he?
Okay, so this must be his last 22 games. He's won 8, drawn 5, lost 9. Paul Cook's last 28 games, won 6, drawn 11, lost 11.
Wow. Let's get Steve Cottrell in.
So Steve Cottrell has it's not a brilliant record, but it's still a better record at Shrewsbury than what Paul Cook has so far at Ipswich. Although we don't talk about last season,
there you go.
We judge him on this season. But yeah, that was something that jumped out at me about Steve Control's record.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, the teams that they beat, I mean, the form was a bit up and down after that. But as a manager, you want that new manager bounce, don't you? Particularly for Shrewsbury, who were struggling at the time, and Hull promoted Lincoln in the playoffs. Doncaster were hovering around the playoffs at that time under Darren Moore. Blackpool obviously up via the playoffs. So those are, and then they beat Peterborough into the new year. Sunderland in the new year, 40 win against MK Dons. So yeah, certainly they had that run, and then I think he got COVID obviously within the new year, and then there's this run of just defeat after defeat. I think in the last kind of how many games is it? About 12 or 13 games, 3 wins, 2 draws, 2 wins, sorry, and the rest defeats. But in there, Mikey, the last time they played against Ipswich, do you remember May? May 0-0 draw with Ipswich.
I mean, there was a few of those, wasn't there? But yeah, I was racking my brains. I couldn't remember the home game either, and then I realised, yeah, it was the most painful 2-1 victory I can ever remember. It was the one where Lancaster scored in the 96th minute, and I didn't feel happy despite us scoring in the 96th minute in front of the Sir Bobby Robson stand. And yeah, so not great memories of Shrewsbury last season, but when we played them at home in our first season in League One a couple of years ago, it was a pretty entertaining 3-0 win at home. Sean Morley was sent off that day in the first half, which made life a little bit easier. But yeah, that was one of the more entertaining games from the Paul Lambert era, sorry. Yeah.
And in that 2-1 win that you talked about in November, Ethan Ebanks Landau, the captain now, scored an own goal, and it felt like the only way that we were going to make the breakthrough was if they scored for us, and it so happened. And that was quite I remember Sam Ricketts, who was the manager at the time, very annoyed at that, and I can understand why.
Yeah, it was a bit of a robbery, wasn't it? Not that Shrewsbury were particularly good that day either, but that was a game that deserved to finish 0-0 or 1-1.
Kept Lambert in a job a little bit longer as well, didn't it? Let's talk about some of the transfer business. I've got 6 signings and 2 loans coming in, and quite a few departures, 12. I've singled out a few of them here. Matthew Pennington has finally decided to stop being the perennial loanee down in the Championship and League One and find a home. He joined from Everton on a free transfer and was linked with us, I think, for a while. Elliot Bennett is probably another eye-catching signing, joining from Blackburn on loan, a good age, still only 32. Also played at Brighton and Norwich, but born in Telford, so kind of going home for him. And in terms of, before we talk about some other additions, in terms of players out, the one I've singled out was the one that went for a fee, which is Ollie Norburn, midfielder, not a midfield or whatever I've written there on the video. I need to brief these before I do them, but kind of a low.
So it means he's nifty.
He's nifty gifty. So he's a 350k, I think, was the signing there. I think he was captain and signed just before the start of the new season.
He was, yeah. I think he got arrested for scrapping in the summer.
Did he?
Yes, that might explain why he moved on. Although, to be fair, it's a decent move for him.
Moved up to 7 appearances for them. Any other signings that draw your eye? I guess there's one that maybe we'll talk about quite a lot of.
No, not really for me. It's Pennington is the interesting one, because I quite liked him at Ipswich, and he'd played a few games for Everton as well. I mean, he'd even scored in a Merseyside derby at Anfield. But I thought that maybe he was a victim of being in a really poor team that season. Yeah, the fact that he's had to go on loan to Shrewsbury last season, and they were the only ones that came in for him, presumably. Although I guess it's probably fairly close to where he was based previously. Yeah, I think he was like a fairly solid defender, quite cultured, wasn't he?
Yeah, I liked him. And he got that really bad injury towards the end of his loan spell with us. So I thought his form had got better.
Yeah, he would have got in our side last season.
Yeah, I would have had him as a possible player of the season kind of candidate before he got injured. But that is it's not exactly the biggest accolade, is it? In that team of that season. the other name that I was hinting at was Luke Leahy, Cov alumni, formerly left back, now playing centre mid for them. We'll talk more about him in a minute, but signed from Bristol Rovers in the summer on a free. 10 goals in 44 appearances for them last season. 2 goals, 1 assist so far, and doing all right for them. Other bits of business. Morosi also has a Cov link. He signed from them. Sam Cosgrove on loan from Birmingham is kind of a name that I always stumble across in Football Manager. And in terms of the departures that we talked about, Leon Clark, we all know about Leon Clark and Dave Edwards. Those are kind of names from the past, aren't they?
War horses.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's experience that will be missing, but they were pushing 36, I think, both of them. So no surprises there. The other bit of news that I thought was interesting was Sean Goss leaving for Motherwell, ex-Man United youth player, had a spell at QPR. Any thoughts on? Should we talk about formations and personnel and all that fun stuff? Mikey,
let's do formation. So Shrewsbury Steve Cottrell does mix it up a little bit. He'll just chop and change and see what works. And most of the time this season, Shrewsbury have played with 3 at the back. So sometimes it's a 3-4-1-2 is their preferred formation. Sean Worley tends to play in the 10, and Pennington and Pierre are the mainstays in that back line. And I imagine that Ebanks Landell will join them at the back. I remember them having pretty sure they played with 3 at the back at Portman Road a few years ago, actually. They had some really big hulking defenders. They have played 4-4-2 a couple of times, but normally they go with 3 at the back, and their wing backs are pretty important to them. But they play quite direct to get crosses into the box, don't they, Rich?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of taking the team through those positions. Morosi in goal, yet to keep a clean sheet. They're one of 4 teams in the league yet to keep a clean sheet. So the league position, not necessarily a surprise in that respect. As you say, landed the Giants again at the back. I looked up Ebanks Landell's height, and it said 1.69 m, which I think equates to 5'5". And I thought that can't be right for a centre back. And it turns out he's 6'2". So I think Pennington and Pierre, as you said, 6'1", and Landell 6'2". So
they're big lads, aren't they?
Units.
But that might work in the favour of Bond. You can imagine he'll fancy himself in a foot race against those.
Maybe so, but
3 centre backs.
We said similar last week about Atkinson.
That's very true. He did score though.
He did. It's a good point, and he did get in behind, didn't he?
Yeah.
And as you say, Leahy, there's quite a few injury issues going on at the moment with the wide players. We mentioned Bennett. When it's a 3-5-2 notion, it's a 3-5-2. Let's be honest. And as you said, Woolley's kind of Wally, whatever.
Yeah.
The 10. You need to get the pronunciation right.
We'll go with Wall. I think it's Wally. Yeah.
We'll go with that. Either side, it's Bennett has been the ever-present, really, but I've just read on their website.
He's a wing-back specialist, isn't it? If you play wing-backs, you get
exactly
Bennett
right.
in.
And he did that really well for Blackburn. I think he's suffered a family bereavement, so might be a doubt for the weekend. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's sadly a situation the family has been a long time coming, and so obviously very sad for him. And we send all our best wishes to him and his family, but possibly a doubt for the game on Saturday because of that. Josh Daniels would come in for him, but he's out injured. So there might be issues in the wide positions, which, as you say, are of the position of strength in terms of the threat. So Leahy, probably out left, is going to be the primary threat there. George Nurse is the other guy who's played. George Nurse, that's a great name. Is the other guy who's played out left. But he's also a doubt with an injury too. So
is he nursing an injury? Is he?
Hey, there you go. That's why we got him back, everyone. That's why. In terms of the other bits and pieces of central midfield, do you want to give us some names?
But I've got their midfield too. Leahy played in central midfield for them in the last game, didn't he? But I'm guessing he'll switch out to wing back.
So it's Davies and Josh Fella.
Davis. Yeah.
David. Sorry, Davis. Yeah, you're right. Ex-Birmingham and played under Cottrell, I think, at Birmingham, and then signed on a free in January. And Josh Fella, do you remember? Does the name ring a bell?
Is he? No.
Okay.
I don't remember. Is he any relation of Carlos?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. The Bolton, ex-Bolton. I think he could play anywhere, basically. I think Joe was targeting him as a right back, but he could play in midfield, and now he's centre mid for them. So
Okay.
I think, though, he's got a knee injury, and he picked it up against Wimbledon. So there is kind of a situation here of bare bones for them.
Yeah, he didn't play in the last game. So yeah, if they were playing a wing back at centre mid last week, and now the guy that was playing left wing back, Nurse, is nursing an injury, as we mentioned, then I think they might be struggling in that department slightly.
Yeah, I think Wally. What? How did you pronounce it? Wally, as in W-O-R. So he can play right if needed.
Yeah, I think he was a winger, but he's 34 now. So I think that he's sort of seen as just sort of that creative number 10, like maybe say Wes Houlihan if we're going to talk about League One number 10s that are quite old. But yeah, he's been with Shrewsbury for donkey's years, Wally. But yeah, I think that they're scraping the barrel a little bit.
Yeah, it could be a challenge for them. I would expect Bennett to play, I think. And then so that's quite easy with Leahy and Bennett either side. The question, I guess, is who's going to partner Davies in midfield. And I'm struggling to kind of, obviously, it could be anyone. I'm just looking at the team that played against Wolverhampton. And it's quite a young team there. It might be that Leshimbala might play there. But there's not a huge amount of experience outside, and that's probably, Mikey, the big factor here. You know, we're used to talking about an Ipswich team which has got, you know, you mentioned it right at the start with Gillingham, the strength and depth. You can afford to play effectively a second choice first team in the Pizza Cup. Shrewsbury can't do that, which means when there is injuries and suspensions, it's the kids, isn't it? And that's probably partly a factor, isn't it?
And that's why this should be a routine 3 points for us as well.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just seeing if I can find out any of the central midfielder names to throw at you. It's difficult, really. It's going to be a bit of a shuffling of the pack, as you said. But yeah, Leshabala might be the call there to join in. That's easy for me to
South African lad.
Yeah. The other option might be Tom Bloxham as well. But 17 years old, Bloxham. So yeah, inexperience is going to. Yeah, they'll be hoping that their situations sort themselves out up front.
So Leshabala is on loan. Sorry, from Leicester City. So he's played. And he's actually played 9 times in the Premier League. So
there you go. Wow.
Yeah, similar pedigree to Edwards.
Cool. Yeah, great shout. So talking about the forwards, it's a very brief conversation because, as we said, 8 goals scored. Bowman and Udo are the ones probably that will get the pick up front. They've got 1 each. Yeah, Cosgrove's an option as well. I'm surprised he's not in there too, Mikey.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? And who were the players that scored against Wolves the other day? Because I mentioned those. I should have written them down. Let me check. But yeah, I wouldn't say that they haven't got a luxury of riches up front either. But yeah, as you mentioned, they've got Cosgrove.
Yeah, actually, Bloxham scored, and Leshabala was the assist.
Yeah,
and then Lloyd and Pike.
Yeah,
Pike. So Sam Cosgrove's on loan from Birmingham, presumably another link with Steve Cottrell's previous clubs. He's got 2 goals. I'm just surprised that he's not really featuring for them. Udo is one of those kind of players that you come across in League One who's kind of played his way through the lower leagues, came through at Kidderminster, I think, kind of journeyman through the lower leagues, and yeah, he's got a chance and has worked hard. But these players are not going to win new matches on their own, seemingly. And you said Worley's was a leading scorer last season.
Yeah, hasn't scored yet this season. Yeah, I think it's they're going to hope to win set pieces, and they're going to try and get up the pitch as quickly as possible, win set pieces, and get the 3 big centre backs up from the back. Obviously, we've struggled with set pieces, not so much in recent games, but earlier on in the season, especially. So I think that's going to be an area that they're going to try and exploit against us. But I mean, that's that's pretty elementary stuff, isn't it? Especially for a manager like Steve Cottrell. I think he'll always have taken set pieces very seriously.
Yeah, the fundamentals, the school of McCarthy, Pulis et al., isn't it, really? We mentioned the threat usually comes from the wide players. I mean, they are quite direct. At home, they average about 52% possession, but away from home, 41% possession, Mikey. So go figure. So it's not going to be one for the purist, is it?
Yeah, they're going to sit deep, aren't they? But yeah, hopefully, if we can break through like we did against Doncaster, it could be one that opens up for us.
Yeah, once that first goal goes in, you kind of think there might be a few more, as you say.
But you'd expect with a Steve Cottrell team, though, I think I'd be surprised if this was an absolute mauling. I think that they'll be well up for it coming to Portman Road. I think if they find themselves a couple of goals down, I think that might just be damage limitation for them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout.
Because goal difference is quite important if they're going to be in the relegation battle with us.
Yeah, good point. It feels to me that I was looking through kind of their disciplinary record, and it's one of the worst in the league. 23 yellows, 2 reds, 13. Just over 13 fouls conceded per game.
Yeah, well, if they look at the tape from the Accrington game, they're going to get an example of how to play against us. I know that was away from home, but they're going to be trying. Yeah, they're going to be up to all of the old tricks, aren't they? And they're going to be try and be right up there in our faces as well.
And if the threat comes, it will be crosses, and 3 out of the 8 goals they've scored are from headers. Their aerial duels are pretty good as well, 4th best in the league. So it's a game for us keeping the ball on the floor, isn't it? So yeah, there's not a huge amount of angle to this one on paper, is it, Mikey? It's kind of pretty straightforward if things play out as you would expect them to. And being a home game, are you pretty confident about this one?
Am I confident?
Are you ever confident?
Yeah, I've sort of learned not to be too confident ahead of any game, but my niece Molly is going to her first ever game with on Saturday. She's only 4 years old, so I'm not sure how much she's going to take in, but apparently she's already told her classmates that her uncle Mikey plays for Ipswich. Which is quite funny.
He could do a job,
and I hopefully she'll be sat so high up that she might actually think that I am one of the players running around.
Yeah, well,
quite funny.
We want to put this in the comments. Which Ipswich player looks like Mikey Penty-Smith? I think there's a bit of Burgess about you, maybe. You've got the height.
I've got the height, yeah. Maybe can't fill a shirt out quite as well as Burgess does.
Have you got long old sleeve tattoos as well?
Yeah. But yeah, because of that, I'm going to predict that Ipswich they're going to win 3-0. Like, I know I said that it'd be damage limitation for Steve Cottrell's side, but as my niece is going to be there, Ipswich are going to win 3-0, and it's going to start a new love affair between her and Ipswich Town Football Club, unlike her mother.
Love/hate affair, yeah. Molly, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you'll be listening to the podcast, Molly, so enjoy the game.
She knows all about Shrewsbury now.
Don't get involved in any fights in the North Stand as well. Behave yourself, and and apologies in advance for years of misery and the odd spiky moment where we're actually half decent. So I think that's a fair prediction as well. I would back that up. Nice.
We're just I'm struggling to see. I mean, this might be famous last words, but I'm struggling to see exactly where what area of the pitch they're gonna hurt us in. And it would take a big turnaround, wouldn't it? As if this was at Shrewsbury on a different pitch, the home fans getting behind them, maybe it would be a different game, and the conditions always make more of a difference in the smaller stadiums as well. But at Portman Road, off the back of a win, I know it was the Fringe team that won the other night. It's going to be a big crowd that's still going to get behind them. I think unless Shrewsbury score early or score 2 early goals and the crowd turn against the players, I think that we should be okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to hammer home this cursing that we're doing here and say that Ipswich haven't lost to Shrewsbury since the 3rd of January 1987, 3 draws and 7 wins in that time. So there you go. And just to throw it in for a hat-trick ball, my danger man is Luke Leahy this week, and it's not worth drawing attention to it. So blatantly obvious. So keep a lookout for the left winger, Luke Leahy, unless he's in the middle because of issues that we've talked about.
Must get quite good odds on him as a wing back. Not that we're condoning.
Yeah,
gambling,
when the fun
but
stops.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah. That's a totally different show. We had the Blue Monday Bookies show, or the betting show. I've read through. So we mentioned that Seb has written, has given us some notes. He's provided a fact of the week. I'm not sure that's a particularly solid fact, is it?
Yeah. Shall I read it anyway?
Go on, let me join it. Let me do the
might
intro
like
for it. I'll do the intro for it. Go on.
Fact of the week. In 2007, to coincide with the stadium move to the new meadow, the club launched a new club badge. The badge remained in use from 2007 to 2015 until fans campaigned and voted by 92% to revert back to the older badge. Change is bad, Rich. After it was revealed that it was revealed that the lion image on the 2007 to 15 badge was inspired by one from Microsoft clip art, which sort of brings back memories of that Leeds United badge from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of fan power there. Got to rate that, haven't you? But
yeah, I'm just saying, if
that's
I can,
quite a long time. 8 years with a pretty bad badge. You looking for it online?
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I can't find it. All I can find is parodies about. Oh, there we go. Okay, I don't think anyone else would have figured that out. I think it's very subtle. So, but fair enough. If someone's gone looking on a Google image search for the lion and found it, then fair enough. And as you say, fan power in action. At least they've changed.
Yeah.
On to more serious matters, Mikey. Let's do Football Room 101. And I have to say, a surprising victory for me last week by 51% to 49%.
Oh, that's twice you've done that.
I'm squeaky bum time. I don't know what it is, but I appreciate the love out there for Football Room 101. It's just going to my head. So I'm going really softball this week, Mikey, and I'm giving you an open goal. And let's see. I don't know what this week. Mikey hasn't told me what he's going for, so this could be a big shock and a surprise. So I'm hoping that I'm setting you up for success. But let's just put the league table up just for administrative purposes to make sure we know what's going on. There I am, 8 played, 5 wins, and players apologising on social media for doing mundane things. Mikey is now in Football Room 101. Any thoughts on that versus Seb's bid for long midweek away trips?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've probably won that because it's a very modern football thing that people don't like, and it's been so long. Like some people were saying throughout COVID that they missed the Tuesday night trips up to Lancashire,
Rochdale,
didn't they?
So
yeah, some people love it, and I guess people like Mullet that live up in Mordor or whatever it is probably would have voted against Seb because they like it when there's these trips up in the grim north.
Yeah. Oh, Mikey, good luck. I'll let you go first. I know who's not going to vote for you, though.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I've thought long and hard about this one because there's so many things that I really don't like about football. I considered VAR, but that isn't really one for an Ipswich Town podcast. So I've gone for clubs using their change strips without good reason.
Mikey's won. Get it there, Mikey.
Your home colour. I was worried then for a moment, Rich. I think you've already done that one.
No, I will be. That was on my list. But brilliant.
So home colours are your club's identity. So Ipswich Town Football Club, they are the Blues, the Super Blues. We wear blue, and if the opposition, let's say we're playing a team that wears red shirts, white shorts, and white socks, the right thing to do, Rich, is to wear a change shorts. So blue shirts, blue shorts, blue socks. It's not difficult. There's no need to use away kits until you're playing against a team that's wearing the same or almost the same home kits. I've always been a big fan of it. I've always been a big admirer of the fact Ipswich have got a lot wrong over the years, but I don't think we're very rarely guilty of wearing our away kit unless we have to. And I've seen us go to Oxford a couple of years ago, and there was a kit clash on the socks or something. So we, rather than switching to the away kit, we switched to white socks. But actually, last season at Oxford was probably the first time in living memory that Ipswich did commit a kit crime, as they're called, and we wore the away kit against a team wearing yellow. And blue and yellow is a big colour contrast. Norwich are bad for this because obviously they don't need to use their
Everton
away
a few weeks
kit.
back. Ridiculous.
Yeah, Everton. Yeah, Watford traditionally very bad for it. Wolves are quite cynical with their away kits, aren't they? Because they had the green one a couple of years ago that was essentially a Mexican kit, and that was to help sell Raul Jimenez shirts. And then last year they were even more obvious and went for burgundy and red in the colours of Portugal to try and flog Neves and Moutinho and Patricio shirts or whatever. But yeah, so my Room 101 this week is kit crimes, aka using your change strip for no good reason.
And we can only assume that the reason is to help sell these second and third kits, isn't it, Mikey? That's all it is.
Yeah, or yeah, maybe someone being really picky. Can I also stick in the people that whinge about the away kit not being used enough into Room 101? Why does it matter that it's not used much if you've bought it?
I've no comment. I mean, I loved the Barcelona kind of rip-off shirt that was hardly used. I still liked it and I still wore it. So
exactly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and the last season's was a bit meh, even though I bought it on the cheap. So yeah, I wouldn't
bought that one just because I thought it's pretty ugly. Therefore, in 20 years' time, it's probably going to be quite classic.
Quite unique.
That's why I bought it.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I wouldn't sub your first bid though if I were you, Mike. I'd stick with that. That is a stone cold classic. That is. And I'm not bringing the big guns this week, and it's purely luck of the draw for you. Maybe I've tapped into something or tap into something here. I am offering up for Room 101 football programs charged over £3, or football programs, frankly, charged over £2 or £2.50. Ipswich's program has been £3.50 for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and it's a rip-off. I know that the program is of excellent quality, don't get me wrong, but it is not £3.50 worth of program. And I love buying programs. You can't see them, but I've got collections of them down here. I like having a program. I like the smell of a program, but I am not paying £3.50 for a program. And I just think it's a real cynical ploy. And I just wonder whether the kind of cost benefit analysis for the increased price and miserly people like me who are quibbling over 50p really can, whether that makes much of a difference. I suspect probably overall they make the same amount. But it's just very cynical for me.
Yeah, I think that they're struggling to sell as many programs these days because these interviews are sort of readily available online. So I think because they're selling less,
so it's
they're charging more, so they're cashing in on the people that
your industry's fault.
Buy them anyway.
Yeah, all of these quality pre-match programs.
Yeah. I'm a footballer, though, aren't I? Remember,
of course, you play for Ipswich. I forgot that. As an example of how to possibly do it, I might be wrong, but certainly, whenever I've gone to Cole you in the last few years, you get the program for free walking into the game, and the reason it's free is because it's chock full of adverts, and I think probably the cost of manufacture is wrapped into maybe some of the ticket price as well, perhaps on the sly. But if if the ticket is 25 quid and 50p or a pound of it goes to making the program, then frankly it's by the by for me. I don't really care. And maybe that's the way to do it, is to nudge a little bit extra onto the ticket price to do that. But the Call U program is not particularly long, but you get the same old stuff. You get interviews from the manager, you get interviews from the owner, you get an interview with a player, you get a nice little stats spreadsheet thing printed in the back, you get the team sheets on the back. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be particularly extravagant. It needs to look nice, and there are really excellent graphic designers who support Ipswich who can do that kind of stuff and have done. You can see them, the ones from last season behind me. I just think narrow the contents down a little bit. Don't reduce the burden of quality a little bit. Put more adverts into it. Reduce the price. Even give it away as part of the ticket price, and I would be happy with that. So
do you know what I used to get a program every week when I was younger. I think they were £2 to begin with, and I remember it being a big thing when it became £2.50, but that might have coincided with us being in the Premiership. I used to love reading. I think it was on the inside of the back page, or the second page from the back, be the list of all of the players and their height and weight.
Yes,
I used to love reading those, and I used to be able to tell you, if you tested me on the drive home, how tall is Wayne Brown, and I'd be able to say he's 6 foot on the dot, and he weighs 12.5 stone. I used to, and I still kind of do still love all of those sort of stats. Frank Lampard weighed more than Didier Drogba. I always found that absolutely fascinating. How does that work? But
there you go. This is what we're missing out with, well, at least what I'm missing out, because I'm too tight. But I just think, figure out what the program is for, and just reduce down some of the content to focus on that. And as I say, slap more ads in there. Fans would write stuff for programs. It doesn't really. I know the club work really hard. Now, this is not a criticism of the program necessarily. It's a criticism of the process to produce the program that leads to it being priced at £3.50. Because I just think, I know that a lot of football-related expenditure is going to track to inflation and the cost of living and so on. But I think there's a point where a football program, like a Freddo bar, as soon as a Freddo bar is more than 50p, its purpose is no longer the same. It's a little chocolate bar that should be 15p. As soon as it's 50p, no thanks, game over. And I think I'd class football programs as similar. As soon as it's more than a pint, I think well, I guess it depends where you buy your pints.
Yeah, how much would pints have to be for you to stop?
I need to carefully backtrack on that position, I think. But I still think £3.50 for a football program. I know that magazines are very expensive and stuff. I just think be clever about it, be creative rather than cynical and just stick 50p on the price and do the same thing. There you go. Rant over. Let's see how that goes down with Twitter World. We will put the poll up along with the tweet with the program. So if you have accessed this and not found where to vote, head over to our Twitter. You can find the Twitter poll there. We'll keep it open for a few days. I'd endorse Mikey's position. I think I've got something.
No, you don't need to.
This is the mind game.
You don't need to do that, Rich.
Yeah, this is the game, Mikey. This is how you get top of the league.
Try and take credit.
This is how you get top of the league. So, right. Let's let Twitter decide. So, thank you for that, Mikey. And as always, I'm just going to put the music on again because I can. And that is your lot. We've been nice and efficient this week, which I like, particularly as I was very slow. What is that you've got there, Mikey? Tell us about it.
I have a brand new copy of FIFA 22 with young Kylian Mbappe on the cover. Fortunately, I couldn't get the version with Macaulay Bonne on the front.
Penty Smith in the shirt. Yep.
Because I am boomenial, I'm too old for games like this. Not saying that you can't apply though. If you're older than me, that's absolutely fine. It's up to you what you do in your spare time. So yeah, I'm going to give this away to a Blue Monday subscriber, and yeah, we're going to release the details on how you can win this Xbox One FIFA 2022 game. It's easy for me to say on the Blue Monday Twitter account. So yeah, keep a lookout for that, and yeah, good luck.
Yeah, excellent stuff. I think we will get people to do some stuff on Twitter and subscribe to some stuff as usual. And all the details will be on our Twitter account, either just as you download this or by the time you've finished listening to us, it should be there. Good stuff. Thanks, Mikey. Two other bits that I've got to draw attention to. One of them, we mentioned it on the live show, which I can also mention is also available on video and audio in all good podcast outlets and on YouTube. So do enjoy some live chat with Ben and I, which was very much enjoyed, I think. Well, certainly by me and hopefully by everyone else. The other thing that I would just to flag, we've had someone get in contact about a Sunday evening six-a-side league, which we mentioned on the live show, for all abilities to join in. Free entry for a limited time. And there's a website which we'll tweet. It's a company called Leisure Leagues, and they've got a phone number which is 0333 123 2340 if you're interested. And they're looking for anyone to join on a Sunday evening between 6 and 8 p.m. at Coppleston. So do get involved if you want to play some football, get some fitness.
I tried to join that, Rich, but they said no professionals.
No professionals.
I said I'm not professional. They said you should be. I'm
making shed loads out of Premier League coverage. So good for you, Mikey. Play for Ipswich Town. So that is some bits and plugs. There's something we tweeted about as well. We're very cautious about talking about podcast awards because we don't really do it for that kind of stuff. But if you are motivated, you enjoy what we do, and you enjoy what other Ipswich Town podcast providers or national podcast providers do as well. The FSA, the Football Supporters Association, have an annual awards, which covers a large kind of range of different things from players to pundits, but also national podcasts and club podcasts. And if you would feel motivated and would like to provide our name in those nominations, we'd be very grateful. If you go to the fsa.org.uk/about/awards, and we'll retweet the same thing as well. You can nominate us up until Monday, the 18th of October, and nominate various others as well. There are excellent podcasts available. There are also footballers who are deserving of awards, I'm sure, and Men's Player of the Year, Women's Player of the Year, Commentator of the Year, Pundit, as I mentioned, all here in the FSA Awards. So do get involved in that if you would like to support the podcast. Best, I think it is Club Podcast of the Year we are eligible for. I think the other podcast award is more national, more, not club related. So there you go. So that's a thing. Finally, in terms of other Blue Monday content, and for those watching on YouTube, I've put up below where you can find us. The Flagship show is back on Sunday evening. We are recording early doors, I hope. Ben, Joe, and myself, we're hoping Joe is back fit, and we're also sending our best wishes to Dave Diamond, who is self-isolating in the spare room, having got a positive test. I think he's doing all right as best he can be. So all of our best wishes to Dave. Get on the Barocca, and I think Joe's should be fit for Sunday as well. So do join us for that to pick through the bones of Ipswich Town 3, Shrewsbury 0. No, I can't believe I said it, Mikey. I can't believe it. That's a mistake.
Yeah, but you said that your predictions come true. So there we go. We're gonna
there you go. Exactly right.
3-0. So
where can we find you on the Twitter, Mikey?
At Mikey_Smith13.
Excellent. And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
If people want to see your face, your visage.
Yeah. If you want to follow me on Instagram as well, it's Mikey Penty Smith.
There you go. Brilliant stuff. And you can find me at Ipswich in Twitter and Instagram as well. So that is good. Please give me a follow and give the channel a follow. There you go. Plugs.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a thumbs up. It does nudge us up the algorithms. There you go. Thank you, Mikey. Professionalism is. There you go. Mikey, I am going to let you have the final word. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching in. And Mikey, over to you.
Up the Town.